Rev up your engines!
Rod79 says Scotty is a porn star. Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story. I almost was once. When I was going to school at the University of Illinois, writing my PhD, I had a picture of me sitting on James Dean, and it was published. It was nationally published in Easy Rider magazine. And I was sitting at my dorm room at the University of Illinois, and I get a phone call from Chicago. Now, this is in Urbana, Illinois. Chicago's about a 3-hour drive away. And this guy starts talking to me, and he says, "Hey, we want to star you in a porn movie where you're abusing airline stewardesses." I'm not making this up. I was, let's see, 22 years old at the time. And I was gracious, and I said, "Well, no thanks, I'm not really into that kind of stuff, but I could have been one, maybe, who knows." Yvonne Keshik says, "My ex-husband is giving me a 2003 to 4 Honda Odyssey. Is it a reliable vehicle?" No. Those vehicles had one of the worst automatic transmissions ever made, and some of them had problems with the cams wallowing back and forth because they weren't built right. Sounds like your ex-husband is trying to give you a job more than what he did before, then you're not married to him anymore. Those aren't very good vehicles. Do not. You don't want something like that. If you can get a choice, go for a Toyota Sienna van. Those things can run forever, but not those Odysseys. They weren't that well made. Every customer I had that bought one of those never bought another one. Liam M says, "I have an '08 Acadia with 108,000 miles. It's in good shape. My mom replaced a lot on it. I'm thinking about trading it in for something smaller like a Toyota. Is it worth it?" Well, it is. You're definitely going to have to pay more money. No one's going to swap you even a Toyota for something like that. Those things, they only got a limited lifespan. It's got 108,000 miles. If you get a Toyota, they can go 300,000-400,000 if you take care of them. It'd be a smart move, You're not going to get much for that Acadia. It's 11 years old. I mean, some guys will just say, "Heck, I'll just drive it till the wheels fall off," and then do that. You're going to get nothing for it. See if you're trading that in what they give you. If you don't care, drive it. And if it lasts a few years, great. And if the engine or tranny starts going out, then junk it then and get another car. You're not going to get much for it anyways. I mean, I'm a big believer. If you got something that works, take care of it and drive it. And then if it breaks, get something better the next time. But if you're not going to get anything when you sell it, drive it till the wheels fall off. Luis Gomez says, "I got a 2012 Dodge Durango Citadel V8 Hemi. Are they good vehicles?" Well, the Hemis are great engines. I got nothing against them. They make very good engines. Now, they're gas hogs. You get a horrible gas mileage in them. They're just gas hogs. That's how they are. But they're very reliable, well-built engine. They have a lot of power. Unfortunately, the rest of the vehicle that engine goes in isn't that great. They have ball joint problems. They have automatic transmission problems as they age. But they are very good engines. I'll give them that. I tell the truth about stuff, and they are good engines. I just wouldn't buy the vehicle because the rest of the vehicle isn't as good as the engine. JM says, "Can a downstream oxygen sensor cause poor performance on a brand new catalytic converter?" It can if it's bad. The first oxygen sensor, the one before the catalytic converter, is the one that has the most input. It tells the computer, is the engine running rich or lean? Then it compensates how much fuel the fuel injector sprays in. Then that mix is burnt and sent through the catalytic converter. Then the one in the catalytic converter checks to see if the catalytic converter is doing a good job. If you had a bad catalytic converter, say it burned up from oil burning, that oil burning can ruin the oxygen sensor on that converter and give a bad data. So if you change the catalytic converter and it was really crowded up inside, I would change that oxygen sensor that's on it too, and pray that that's the only thing that does it, because you have to realize that catalytic converters and oxygen sensors are part of a very complex computer-run bi-directional feedback system that measures remnants of oxygen in your exhaust gas, and it monitors it, and then it tries to make it go richer or leaner by changing how the fuel injector spray fuel into the engine. It's a very complicated system, and even a professional mechanic, sometimes it could take them days to figure out what's wrong with the system. You try the simple things first, and always use OEM. Don't buy some cheap Bosch fits-all oxygen sensor. Buy the one that's made for your car. Samuel Larson says, "Scotty, what's the best way to replace the inner boot on a CV axle?" You got a CV axle. There's an inner boot, there's an outer boot, and there's a dry shaft in between. To replace the inner boot, you got to take the whole shaft off, take it all apart, put another boot on. But you got to take it apart anyways. The aftermarket CV axle assemblies, the whole things, you can usually get for $59 to $79. Aftermarket ones that work perfectly fine. I've been buying them for decades from AutoZone. I never got a bad one. They've all been great. They fit, they work perfectly fine. I never had one break and had to replace it again. You might as well just buy the whole thing and then everything is new. Why bother with just changing the boot? Because the boot's going to cost you $30-40. Then you got to take it all apart, and then you got to pray that it isn't worn because the boot's ripped and the grease leaked out. Just replace the whole axle and you get everything new. You don't have to think about it. That's what all mechanics do these days.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.